From the 305 to the 303, welcome to TCSP. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Brian and the Casually Serious Band. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? We are just, sometimes with the backgrounds, it gets a little wacky, but look at that. Look at that. Do you have the ability to turn it off? If you have the ability to turn your background off, people can see that a little better.
Yeah, I probably do, but I don't know how to do that.
Out here somewhere. Tell us what that is, man.
You did it. So this is a culmination of just years of everybody talking about how a buddy of ours should be putting his photography into book form. And this is a guy who drives trucks for a living. He's a truck driver, drives all over the country. And while he drives, he sees obviously incredible things and he takes pictures. He takes pictures with an iPhone, but the pictures are absolutely incredible. This guy just has the ability, the eye for certain pictures that he posts on Jay's Travels, which you guys should check out. Jay's Travels on Facebook. And you can see the pictures that they're absolutely incredible. So finally, we put this book into form, and now it's for sale. Blurb.com, you can get it. Amazon, it'll be available shortly. It is an incredible book, hardcover. There's full color pages in here, so it's not all black and white like the cover, even though the cover is beautiful. Just beautiful pictures of just places he sees, and the pictures he takes are absolutely amazing. So I had to throw that in for him real quick. I'm just so proud of him. Very good friend of ours for a long time. And no, he's a truck driver. It's not like he's a photographer and he's been one his whole life and he's finally made a book, you know? It's like he drives trucks, which I'm not taking anything away from. It's awesome. But it's even more awesome that he drives trucks, takes pictures all over the country, and they look like they do. They're just incredible. Jay's Travels, check it out on Facebook or Instagram. Very cool.
Yeah, man. He's a lot of people can say, oh, anybody can take a picture with an iPhone, and really the cell phone camera has sort of probably pissed off a lot of people who don't use cell phones as cameras. But the fact of the matter is it's not the filter, which doesn't really happen not so much with Jay, but it's the way he sees, because what you see is what he's trying to see. What he's trying to show you is what he's seeing. And there's just a lot of amazing points of view that you don't always get to look at. And I'm sure he just, flies by these places at, 100 miles an hour. No, sorry, 75 miles an hour max.
Don't get him in trouble now.
Yeah,
55 even.
Flies by and doesn't really, most people don't stop as a driver. You just keep going. So that's pretty awesome, man. And again, we know he's got that eye, man. And, it wouldn't be much different if he had a professional camera with a zoom or whatever. It would just be more expensive. Really is really all it would be, man. But I'm excited for him that he was able to get it all put together, and kudos to you for helping him out, man. That was a great, awesome thing, man.
There was a team effort involved, and it was great. It
Beautiful.
was really, really good. So it was, it's just great to see it done. I mean, that's the most important thing. It needed to get done, and the next ones will be even better. Just because we learned a little bit more about what we need to do with the photography to be able to get some better quality pictures, to be able to blow them up even more. So we're gonna keep working on this photography thing with him, because he's got a great eye. And we have a good team behind putting the book together, which is just absolutely incredible as well. So just, run-of-the-mill kind of stuff just for some regular old folks. We're not publishers. We're not looking to make a bunch of money. In fact, all the money is being donated to various animal charities around the country. So it's just awesome. There's not about making money at all. It's just about what he sees on the road. And a lot of these pictures are things he's seen on the road and gone past and was like, next time I got to get that picture. And it might be weeks, months, and maybe even years sometimes. And then he's back through those areas and he takes pictures that he just knows what's coming up from being on the road for so long. So I think that helps him a lot in getting some of these really incredible shots. He just kind of anticipates them in a little bit in a way, which is pretty cool to see when we travel together and he takes pictures and, on our travels. It's great.
Yeah,
I
I've
don't.
seen
It's
some of the, I've seen some of those. Is actually
pretty
really
crazy,
cool.
right? I don't have to take any pictures when I go on vacation with that dude because it's like, you know, and my wife as well, a great photographer in her own right. So it's like I don't have to take any pictures. It's all going to be documented. I'm good.
Nice.
But anyway, just had to throw that in a little bit. You all go check it out. If you don't, it's all good. It's
Definitely go check it out. Check out Dave Travels on Facebook. It's beautiful. But we are here today because we're asking the question: are you an extrovert, an introvert, or an ambivert? And for anybody who might not know what these defined are, extrovert is someone who's a little bit more outgoing. Introvert would be someone who is a little bit more to themselves, and an ambivert is someone who's a little of both. And you know, as we were talking about this before we went live, it's kind of odd to even have a term for someone who is both introverted and extroverted. I just assumed that just made you a person, because I'm sure there are plenty of times, like, let's say you walk into a room of 40 people holding knives and their shirts are stained with blood. You probably start getting a bit more introverted in that situation than you would if you walked into, let's say, a donut factory as donuts were being made. So it's an odd term, and I know I haven't heard it a lot either. So I know you might have been saying to yourself that's a pretty odd word. You don't hear it a lot. It's probably because it just doesn't really make a lot of freaking sense. If you're not an extrovert or an introvert, you already are an ambivert. But whatever. I digress. I don't know where I fall on this. I can tell you this much: as I get older, the more I lean towards introversion. Into an introvert side. And by that, I mean, the older I get, the less I want to be surrounded by people, whether they are people I like or not. You know, I know you and I, we grew up in the same place, but as you're growing up, you sort of collect friends because it's something that you need to do as a social thing. It gives you status, no matter whether you hang out with Jimmy or not, you know him, so you're cool, whatever the case may be. That doesn't really, it starts mattering less and less. We all know the circle gets smaller as you get older. And I think thus, I become a little bit more introverted. That's not to say I don't want to be around people. It's just that I don't want them around me all the time. But I don't know. What about you, man?
I mean, I think just to that point real quick, that most people kind of get their friend groups, well, you know, a while ago. We're in our 40s now. So, you know, we kind of already built that, you know, whether it was through childhood, high school, college, work. These are usually the places that people are going to find their friend group and so it does dwindle down a little bit. And of course, you get to kind of get a better idea of what you want to be around or what you don't want to be around, so that you're able to decide, you know, hey, I don't really like that kind of, don't really like that kind of person. So I'm not going to, you know, I don't want to be around that. I don't like that vibe. Yeah. I don't like whatever it is. So, but that aside, from the introvert to extrovert, I feel that I didn't know what ambivert was till today. I had no idea what this was. I'd never heard of this before. And I feel like it's an absolute cop-out. I mean, you're an introvert, you're an extrovert. Of course, most people are going to be in the middle of that. There's going to be times where you're going to be more introverted, and there's going to be times where you're going to be a little bit more extroverted based on the situation. But to categorize it, I feel like just saying an ambivert, like Bob said earlier, it is pretty much everybody else, which is the wider group of people, right? I mean, in general, most people kind of fit that middle status. And then you've got these extremes of people that are, wow, they're way introverted. And then you got these people, wow, they are way extroverted, where it's very easy to tell. You know, and I think everybody kind of fits the middle. So I feel like that's a cop-out term, and I don't like it. I feel like that's where everybody's going to.
I just plain don't like it.
I don't. It's like, yeah. I'm trying to get this canceled. Can we cancel this word? Is there a way to start that or make that viral? That ambivert has to go. Sorry,
I haven't used it. I haven't used it until today, so canceling it really doesn't mean shit to me. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's already canceled. It never happened. Real quick before we go. Brandon Reddick, how you doing? Andrew Pace, how the hell you doing? Jordana, how you doing, sweetheart?
Thank you.
Let me tell you right now. I've got Andrew Pace says I'm an introvert, and so this is a quick sidebar discussion. I'm going to say bullshit first of all, Andrew.
Yeah.
I've been gaming with this guy for 20 years, and he is.
Aren't all gamers introverts?
That's what I'm trying to say is that there's a group of at least 8 of us in a party talking and having a good time and usually saying real messed up shit to each other. And That's
on your
not
own
introversion.
couches. You could be like in your boxers on a couch.
That's not being an
chips falling
introvert,
out your
though.
face, but no one sees any of that. So it kind of
But
is.
that's still a social setting. That's what I mean. The thing is that you're not in person. So what we have to start asking is, does being in person in a group of people in a social setting start giving you the ability to say whether you're introverted, extroverted, or ambiverted? Because as far as I'm concerned, what Andrew said, I don't think the guy, he's run a gaming clan with me for, like, he knows how to lead people. Like, that's not an introversion thing. I just think that societally and socially, I am introverted, and I think maybe that might be the case with you too as well, Andrew. But also, we've got Jordana saying, one of the producers, Jordana Riley, being an introvert has a lot more to do with needing more time to decompress and have alone time. It does not necessarily mean you're shy, which is often a misconception. Damn good point. And I think that also goes to what you were saying, Ken, because what that paragraph is, what that describes to me, those two sentences, is someone who's, a little bit of both, but at sometimes needs a little chance to pull back a little bit and be introverted and get away from people to decompress, but then go back to being ambiverted.
Oh,
Am I right?
Look at that. Look at that. We just solved everything again with this stupid word. This stupid word. I mean, you have a self-confessed man saying right now that he's an introvert, and you're trying to talk him out of it because he runs a gaming group. I mean, dude, like, seriously, now we're just trying to pull people from it. Dude, let the dude be an introvert, man. All right. Andrew's an introvert. All right. That's what he is. He wants to be that. That's what he is. And now Brandon is also an introvert. So look at this. We got, hey, don't like people much. I'm with you on that one. But you know what? There's individuals that are cool. People overall suck, man. But there's individuals that are pretty cool. So but yeah,
I think a blanket statement is horrible with everything. Really, you're right. You're right. And I know that. And I was getting to the point that maybe socially, Andrew is an introvert. I think I would definitely buy that. And I think sometimes for me too, the weird thing, as someone who's an adult, let's say, and I haven't done this a lot, but let's say I go to a party as someone who's in my 40s, and a party is a loose term for older people getting together. It wasn't quite like the way it was when we were 21, but
we're home by midnight, man.
I'm not the guy to walk around at a party full of people I don't know and start making friends with people who I don't know. Okay. That it's just not my thing. Right. I don't know why. I don't know if it was ever. I think maybe we just growing up with the ability to be around so many people and friends that knew each other in such a close neighborhood and an area, we just sort of got comfortable in saying that's the 100 people I know, and then I never needed to know anybody ever again.
Right, but I left in '97. But making friends versus like going at least to like, hey, I'm Bob, and it's that. Right. What's the right? You're not necessarily going to make a friend, but are you okay with? I don't know who that dude is. We're here in the same place. Am I going to be, hey, what's up? Or are you not going to do that? Like, I think that's a good setting for describing an introvert versus an extrovert. If you're comfortable at this party where there's other people that you don't know and you're comfortable being there with people you don't say nothing to them. But some people will just walk right up to people and say, hey, how you doing? I'm Kenny. How do you know this guy or whatever the party's for, stuff like that, So that type of setting I feel is a little different than trying to think if we're going to make friends, at this age or whatever versus just being able to talk to them,
Yeah, and I guess maybe since we are sort of but we're bouncing at least between a couple of different instances of us just, being in a social setting. A social setting could be like I spoke about in a headset, but again, we're not in person, which are a lot of very strong cues we take as humans, and whether we feel comfortable or not comfortable, or how we look at other people when we're in person. So if I'm in a room full of good-looking people, I'm probably not going to be super social. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those.
Absolutely.
That's how we start gauging whether you can speak to somebody. At least when we're young, I'm not going to talk to that girl. She's gorgeous. And like, you think about that as an adult, like that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard somebody say. Like, you want to talk to her because she's gorgeous. No, but when you're a kid, it's the shyness and you start thinking about yourself. But I don't know. I think quarantine, and what do you think about this? I think quarantine gave everybody the ability, if they were not already in tune with it, got themselves a little closer to their inner introvert, because we were forced into introversion in a strong way too. By that meaning, we weren't allowed to be around other people, which is, introverts are forcing themselves to do that. And I've done that myself. So I get that. But that, I don't know. That's crazy. What do you think about that?
I just feel like, for me personally, there was a time in my life where I was always around other people. We were always partying with groups of people. We were out every weekend. That's what we did, and it was weekend after weekend. Actually, it started Thursday back, at least back in those days. There was a place to go Thursday night, Friday night,
Bennigan's.
Saturday night. There you go. That was one of them. But you hit the rounds, you make the rounds, you do whatever. But 3 nights a week, you were partying, man, and you were looking forward to that all the time. So for me at this age of 41, it's different because I'm home and I want to be, and I'm with my family, and that's where I want to be. I'm cool with that. I might have a friend come over or whatever, but I don't want to go anywhere anyway. So it didn't bother me much. But then I think of my, younger self, and and of course kids that are that age, and being able to say, hey man, those people, this would hurt, because for me, I'd be like, what, are you crazy? I can't stay here. Like, I need to be out there with people. I can't do this. So I think of those folks a lot. I think of the kids in high schools, and the kids that missed their proms and stuff like that. That's the stuff that's actually heartbreaking in a way when I think about it, because I enjoyed all of that. I don't know if other people did, but for me to think that those things were missed would be pretty rough. So to answer your question, yeah, I think of those kids, and at that age, trying to deal with now having to be a little bit more introverted by force, essentially, and how you would do with that, communicating with your friends virtually, and not being able to see them in person as much, and certainly not in large groups, I feel would be very difficult to deal with. And I'm amazed by the kids that have, and I feel for them too. I truly do, more than anything else. So for myself, I did fine. I'll continue to be introverted as I need, and every once in a while jump on a podcast to let the world know I can be slightly extroverted as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think introversion can be used, or being an introvert can be used as sort of as a defense mechanism, because you can, there's a couple different instances, I'm sure, being introverted. You can either sort of force yourself to be that way, or you will just revert into yourself in a social setting. But sometimes you just shut up or just remove yourself from a situation, period. But this is great that Andrew said gaming is his out, and he's glad he started gaming. It got him out of his shell. So
that's very cool.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like,
I know
that's
your world. That's
a
where
vocal dude.
Right,
yeah, I hear him talk. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we all know Merck's voice. We know Andrew's voice, and we all know it well. And he's not usually the quiet guy. If he wants to say some shit, he's going to say shit, especially if guys involved.
And that's how you know him. And as he said, that's where he is able to be that way. So first of all, that's awesome. And I wasn't putting it down. I don't know if that sounded like that earlier. I wasn't at all putting it down, but I was just saying that I can understand people that are more introverted being into gaming, where they could still be in their own place. Yes, they're still talking with people, but at the same time, they're in their own place, their comfort spot. I think that does a lot for an introvert in general. But introversion, as Jordana said earlier, is different in many ways, as far as the, people's, desire to be away from people, to be able to think more critically, and to be able to, for themselves, because introverts generally will do that. They think more to themselves, where an extrovert is going to think out loud. They're able to reason by talking almost. And that is just a way I think that you see with certain people that are just handling situations differently. I think that's a point to what Jordana was saying, that an introvert will do something like that and need that time to be able to think properly, because a lot of their critical thinking is going to happen away from other people, versus extroverts that want to actually continue to try to reason by speaking and having people, yes, agree or be on top of it. And that's why you get people they have yes people around them, so everything you say is yeah, I totally agree, but you're not, and then they walk away and be like, I don't know what that guy's thinking. That's not helping you. You need people to be able to kind of knock you down sometimes. Like, no, that's not a good idea, man. You got to think more. You got to think more this way, or don't do that, or don't do this. And I don't know. I think extroverts just kind of shoot from the hip a lot with that kind of stuff. And I was joking earlier, I'm not introverted. I'm definitely an extroverted individual. So I do that. So it's easy for me to say that, because I'll reason out loud. And then sometimes it takes that for me to be like, well, that sounded fucking stupid. So then you kind of go back the other way again. Helps for me.
I'm going to go with the ambient, man. I'm going to go with Ambivert as far as myself goes, because I do think that
too easy.
I think that it is too easy. But I think it has a lot to do with being able to adapt to many different social situations. And I hate hearkening back to where we grew up, but when you grow up in a melting pot like we grow up, you just sort of learn how to be able to be in a lot of different social settings.
I agree.
Be
So
around
where does that
people.
aid to introversion then? Where is it that you can meld yourself to introversion that means like that you would put yourself there? Because it sounds to me like you're just talking extroversion. Depending
on the group of people, whether you like them or not.
I don't know.
Because I don't know necessarily.
I don't know though, because I think if you're an extrovert, then you're going to come out with that. That's not going to bother you. So it's still, to me, you're still introverted.
I would call you
in
more
that
extroverted than me, because I think that you would be much quicker to walk up to someone you don't know and introduce yourself and shake their hand. Whereas I would probably wait for that to happen. But after that happened, you would get a conversation from me and I would be doing what I normally would do. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm confused. I quit. No, I don't know. That's why when you said this to me earlier,
everybody, I'm trying to put everybody in one or the other. I don't
believe in this
middle shit. This middle thing is not happening with me, man.
We're going to claim everyone, so it's just going to be you and I that are going to be claimed here. Because wait a minute, well we've got Andrew who's sort of claimed himself, and then he did sway and say, "Okay, I'll switch to Ambivert." This isn't about switching, my friend. I was not trying to transfer you in one way or another.
Dr. Bob, it's diagnosed and done it again.
The name of this episode is it was in a society in a social setting, right? Isn't that what we agreed on here? Which one are you in social settings?
You know what? That's a very good point. You ruined the whole show by doing that. You totally just delegitimized a whole bunch of crap I was talking about.
It's only 20 minutes.
Why did you point
only 20 minutes? Only from here on out we can
start
stay on
over.
topic.
All right, here we go. Social.
In a social setting, ladies and gentlemen. In a social setting, I
should pay attention to those headers, man. I should read those things before we go on the air.
I think I would say I'm an extrovert in social settings simply because I would not want to be looked at as an introvert.
Okay, but you just said you wouldn't go up to somebody you don't know. That
doesn't necessarily make me an introvert. It just means I'm not going to walk up to a motherfucker and shake their hand.
I'm not talking about just anybody. I'm saying if you're at a party together, but you don't know somebody, like that to me happens all the time with people because there's all mixes of people there, So some people are okay just to have that uncomfortable, hey, we'll just stand here and hold beers for a little while next to each other. No one's going to ask each other your name or something at least or something. I don't know. I don't know.
I'll find a way not to talk to people. I'll find a way.
It depends on my mood. If I'm baked, I'm probably not talking to anybody. But if I'm drinking, then I'm talking to everybody. I'm not shutting up.
Tammy made that point too earlier. Let's see if we can dig that back up there. We got a.
Here she goes.
She said something. She just said something about if alcohol's involved. There we go. I'm mostly an introvert, and less alcohol's involved.
Well, that is true. No, for my wife, 100%. She is mostly introverted, and she really means it when she says she doesn't like people. I personally, I say that kind of.
Alcohol is the extrovert elixir.
It is.
Is it not? I mean, it's gonna magnify whether you're a nice or an ass, and either way, you're just going to be a more boisterous, nice or ass person.
That's a good one.
But cannabis, on the other hand, is just
that just mellows me out, and I'm cool just to be in the corner drinking a beer by myself. I don't give a crap. I don't want to talk to you about just made up crap. I'm just going to stand over here and try to avoid eye contact. So I guess then I'm now an ambivert again. I don't like this damn term.
It's nutty. It's freaking nutty. And again, we have to go with ambivert because I believe simply you and I have the ability to have a little bit of both or be a little bit of both.
All right.
As most people do.
Dr. Bob is just diagnosing everybody, man. He's like, I got all of you. I'm going to tell you and you and you what you really are. Just talk to us. Give us a couple lines on the bottom of the screen, and this dude's going to tell you exactly what you are.
Call me now. Nobody that remembers that. I'm sorry. You're too young if you don't know what the hell I just did right there.
Look it up.
Yeah, Google that. Call me now. But yeah, in a social setting, I think that I know that there's been times where I've gone with my wife to one of her work functions, and I didn't know a damn person.
Those are the worst. Yeah, you're right. Those are the worst.
But she's an extrovert. My wife is an amazing, beautiful, social extrovert. I almost always have to sort of kick it up a notch to not look like the exact opposite of her, because I don't want anyone to be like, yo, Jordana is like such an amazing, outgoing person, and Bob does not say shit. And then she'll be like, well, wait till you get to know him, and then you're going to tell him to shut the F up, and you'll be over it. Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. Same here, my wife too. What do we got, Brandon? It honestly depends on the social setting. I think everyone, for the most part, a little, yeah. And so maybe
That's
we
so
can agree with that.
man. But that goes right back to being an ambivert. I feel like you go to the middle, right? I mean, if you feel like this is happening this way, I mean, or do we just put a scale? Do we have a scale and we just go from, you end up in like 58%, so you're 8% over there. I mean, how do we do this? How do we measure this?
We'll have to assign a number or a numeric value to each action throughout the week, and then find a way to. No, we don't want to do that.
Just to give you guys a little behind the scenes, I came up with this topic this week, and then freaking Bob throws this at me just like a few hours before the damn show that there's a whole other term that has to do with what we're talking about. I'm like, what the hell is this, man? This is just, I don't know, man. I'm all thrown off now. I was all ready to talk about the polar opposites of these two things, and now it's all about being an ambivert, which is where everybody is. We're all ambiverted. Although I do have somebody that I know, I'm not going to name names, that is the most introverted individual that I have ever met in my life. This dude, I mean, I'm telling you, he doesn't talk, he has no friends. He talks to nobody socially. He's married with 2 kids, teens, but he goes to work early in the morning. I mean, like right as the sun comes up. He's done in the afternoon, and he goes back into his room in his house. He doesn't even come out to his family and stuff at all. Like, you may have dinner with him or whatever, but then that's it. It's like he is the most introverted individual I've ever met in my life. He's actually a good dude, but it's hard to get through a lot to get to that. And I've known him long enough to be able to get to that. And I actually call him a friend. He's a good guy, but I've never seen a person like this before. I would love to get that guy on our show. If I could ever get that guy to come on this show right here, it would just be gold. I'm going to work on this because this is an introvert in the greatest regard that anyone has ever met. I think I'd be pulling it as close to a caveman out here in 2021 than you'd ever be able to find. I mean, in a modern day city. There are some weird places on this planet.
We've got Joanne Garone Banky. How wonderful to see my sister pop up here. So she is an extrovert. And I'm just going to say that it has a lot more to do with her being fully Italian, whereas I'm only a half. I don't know if that's the case. I'm just kidding. But she is definitely an extrovert, a wonderful extrovert. I think our family has sort of wound up kind of leaning a little bit more towards being a little bit extroverted, but maybe more so with ourselves. If you're
Italians, of course.
With each other, really, at a Christmas dinner, it's not a quiet thing. But again, Joanne, thanks for showing up. Love you. I think a lot of us have the ability to kind of play the middle on this. As much as I don't want to admit it, I don't love labels either, but I really do think I'm probably more extroverted. Whether it's true or real in the moment doesn't really matter. I don't think. I'll still probably come off as an extrovert, whether I'm faking it or not. Like, oh, he's such a friendly or whatever. He really knew what he was talking. Nah, probably just playing it really well. That's all. But I don't think an
introvert could do a show like this. Like, even though you are by yourself in your safe space, like I said earlier, you're doing this so that other people are going to watch you too. I feel like introversion wouldn't really allow that very well. I mean, maybe this format more than anything else. Certainly not if you're going into a studio and there's a bunch of people around you and all that. But if you're able to sit in your own house, I don't know, maybe. I don't know.
Wouldn't this count as sort of the same situation as me and Andrew were talking about earlier? Only you can see us as well.
Well, I think the visual is a big thing because I think the fact that when you
only hear up.
Yeah, it's true. So anyway, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. This is like, it's so new in that sense, and I think, again, like Andrew said earlier, this kind of stuff probably helps introverts because it's an easier way to kind of get yourself out there a little bit without having to, physically be out there and deal with all of that. So I don't know. That's a different topic for another time, I guess. But
we're working our way.
It's still an interesting discussion either way, and it's great to get feedback from all of you guys. Really appreciate that. This show is always going to be about that. We just want to be able to have a topic, loosely discuss some information about it, but we're always interested in what you guys have to say and have you guys be a part of it as well. So I appreciate that. Keep it coming, man. We got more time.
We do have time. If anybody has anything else they want to say, for God's sake, throw it in there. We want to know. We've got so far everybody in here Jordana has claimed extroversion. Extroversion, olive oil. Extrovert. Brandon said introvert, but again, I don't buy that either, dude.
Well,
but again,
how about we do this? How about we do this to help people a little bit? All right, I found this little category thing here that gives a basis for comparison from introverts to extroverts. So just humor me.
Let's do it.
So first, they start with the meaning. Introvert is a person who remains isolated or enjoys the company of few closed ones. An extrovert is an outgoing and outspoken person who enjoys being around and talking to people. Their nature is an introvert is self-contained and an extrovert is gregarious. Their speaking, introverts think before they speak, and extroverts, they reason things out by speaking them, as I spoke about earlier. Energy recharges with solitude. Introverts recharge with solitude, extroverts recharge with social interactions. Time is for introverts spent more with themselves and extrovert more with friends and family. Their focus, generally introverts are inwardly focused and an extrovert is outwardly focused. Friends, introverts have few, extroverts have many. Change, introverts do not accept change very easily, where extroverts accept change easily. Communication, only communicate about themselves with people they know and trust if you're an introvert, and extroverts openly communicate about themselves with anyone. And finally, concentration. Introverts deeply concentrate for long periods, where extroverts get distracted easily. So now, after that little checklist, where do you like to place yourself? Where do you think you're at, Bob, after that? Did you take the test? Where are you at, man? Which one did you check more?
I felt like simply what you described me to be an introvert. I mean, I certainly do think about something before I say it. And I know, listen, what we do need to understand is everything you just said is a broad sweeping generality over.
No, of course.
But to just take it all at face value, that describes me. And maybe I'm just thinking, maybe I was just trying to sound like I was introverted. I was just, maybe I was clinging on to the introvert answers. But I did feel like I was leaning more towards introversion on that but I don't know. Maybe my wife will tell you different, but I don't tend to talk about myself or things like that. You said something about introverts would rather discuss themselves with people they know or something like that. I don't know. I think I fell under introvert. What about you?
I think it was more extrovert for me, to be honest. I mean, just because even to think about things, I mean, I do that. I like to say I feel like I do that, but I like to look at extreme situations when you have to make decisions. And I am somebody that lets the moment get the best of me for a few minutes. And I feel like that part is probably where if I was more introverted, I would chill and think about it more, where I get a little bit, and then I throw things out there. But usually I get the right answer, I think. But I still feel like I fit more into the extrovert category, definitely based on those definitions.
Okay. I've always sort of admitted to myself that I can be either hot or cold. I think the older I get,
You're adaptable.
I want to call myself an ambivert because I'd like to think that I'm tolerant of all, but that's certainly not the case. I think
outwardly you could do whatever you want, and then behind closed doors, life is life.
And we're also talking about sort of like how our situation is right now. It's not necessarily saying, do you want to start collecting friends at 48 years old? Not freaking really. Am I going to not talk to people to not meet anyone? No, but I've sort of done that at this point in my life. Yeah. Everyone I know that I'm close with, for the most part, does not live anywhere near me other than my brother and my sister-in-law that live out here. Like everyone else is pretty much out of sight, other than a couple of friends that I have out here that I just don't get to see enough, which sucks. But I don't, and I'm going to say this out loud. I don't think I've tried hard in the last 20 years to make really any new friends. And I probably have though, but I don't think I've tried, meaning I probably have gone the other way to not, and that has a lot to do with trust and all these other things that we can get really deep into, but I don't think I went out of my way to make friends.
Right. Right. And I mean, I get that. And we talked about that earlier, being where you kind of set that up for you and you know what you like and you don't like. So I think that also kind of makes the pool a little bit smaller, because you can still run into people, meet people through friends, work, or anything, and be like, man, I feel like, you'd be somebody cool to hang out with. I feel like I could hang out with you, but you don't. You don't actually do it. You don't set it up to do it. And it doesn't really bother you that much, because it's like, well, I mean, I've already got people to hang out with. I got friends I don't see already. Like, why am I going to, try to like hang out with this dude that I see at work every day or whatever, just because we get along, or, he's cool or whatever. I don't know. I just feel like that happens as we get a little bit older too. So, we're talking that game where there's people in their 20s that are meeting people left and right, and that's where I built a big group of my friends. Have a lot from childhood, which is awesome, but I met a lot in high school, in college, and in work, still to this day that I've made friends with. So, you're going to always have that, I think, available to you. It's just whether or not, like you said, you want to invite that into your life or not at that time. I don't think that necessarily describes you as introvert or extroverted at this point. It's more,
right,
just kind of where we are socially, and, you feel like, man, I got to get out more. I need to find a poker group or something like that. I mean, there's so many things you can do in that manner if you really wanted to. But I guess it gets to the point where you're like, that's how I feel. I feel like I already have enough friends that I wish I could spend more time with. I would, that even that are local, that I feel like, oh man, I should just call this dude and go hang out. But it's hard. Everybody's got time issues, everything. But if you want to do it, you're going to do it. I'm never about that whole thing.
Regardless,
it's all a bunch of BS. If you want to make the time, you're going to make the time to do it at the end of the day. So, but I, again, don't think that really falls into this too much, because again, we're all ambiverts. Everybody, man. This is just this term has ruined this whole discussion.
We also need to realize that maybe we wouldn't have had this conversation right now had we not gone through a quarantine. Hell, we might not have had this podcast if we had not gone through a quarantine. But regardless, these words start getting added into our vocabulary. And I don't think if we had not gone through that quarantine, we wouldn't have had as many people saying outwardly, oh, I'm an introvert, because it sort of became this tag phrase for extroverts to claim that all of a sudden they're introverts. Like, oh no, I'm totally introvert. I stay at home. Da, da, da. But no, everyone's dying for the most part to get the hell out of the house.
Right.
I would love to go see 5 concerts in the next 5 days if I could.
Yes.
I could not possibly care less. I mean, I'll wear a mask, whatever, if I have to, even though I'm already vaxxed, which apparently now everyone's like, oh, you can still get it. I'm like, well, you could always have gotten it, dude. You're just probably not going to get really, 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 really sick from it like you would had you not been vaxxed. But that's another one.
Another topic.
I love being with others and being social, but as I said before, I need a lot of alone time to recharge. Yeah.
Ambivert.
And then Tammy says, I'm not an ambivert. There you go. Not everyone. Winky emoji. So, I mean, I don't know. We've got a small cross section. We've got, I think, equal female to male ratio so far in the comment section, which is pretty badass. But again, I don't know. I still find that most of us are probably more adaptable than we'd like to give anybody credit for, or each other credit for. I know people from Miami, Florida, like us, are very adaptable to societal situations and different groups of people. And yeah, can I get along with most people in most situations? Yeah. Do I? And do I try to? Probably not. But if someone does introduce themselves and we wind up having a good conversation, I'm not going to be like, thanks for your name, dude, and then just walk away on them. Like I'll sit there and have a conversation with he or she about whatever it was we're talking about. So I don't know. I do believe that we probably are more in the middle than we'd like to think. But like I said, we've gotten closer to our introvert side by being forced to stay at home for almost a full year.
That's true. But that's can also lead to what I think we've seen a lot was increase in alcohol use and stuff like this, which could also lead to depression, which they say, medical professionals always say that introverts are generally, or people who are depressed or clinically depressed are generally introverted. And that's obviously because the depression is set into that point, those medical disorders, those people are exhibiting those introverted personality traits. So, which can also lead to higher suicide risks. So, I feel like not necessarily the pandemic per se, but certainly for people that maybe we're on the other side of the coin and we're a little bit more extroverted and were forced to introversion, that's where I feel depression could set in more than with somebody who was already kind of introverted. And then here comes this pandemic and this lockdown, and they're like, perfect. You know, I've been preparing for this. So I think introverts were good through a lot of this. I don't think it created a further depression. I could be wrong, but this is my own opinion. I feel folks that were, like we were talking about earlier, maybe younger kids or young adults even, that were into their, you know, being out and being socially active. Those folks that had to become more introverted and be able to deal with it, I feel, are probably feeling that depression a little bit more. And you're probably seeing more of it from those kind of people that are feeling stuff that they're not even sure what's happening to them. But that depression is real. And I think that led to a lot more people, you know, drinking, doing whatever else they needed to do to try to just pass the time. I don't know if a lot of that just clears up and everybody's okay again now that you're all back out there. But I don't know. I think that's where most of that, you know, depression, you know, issues are going to come from, are people that were used to being out that are now kind of back in again. I don't know.
Well, I do believe that the what we just went through definitely had some crazy reactions for a lot of people. I think a lot of folks who thought they could handle what we just went through probably in some instances couldn't, and maybe had some, you know, bad reactions to it. I did some things throughout the quarantine to try and stave that any of the darkness or sadness off. I think my wife and I definitely did a great job of at least trying to stay active or be comedic and, you know, I just found different ways, because I think we both knew that while we both could be extroverted and introverted during that time, we certainly didn't want it to get to us and start making us wacky. So that was something we consciously did, and I used certain things to help me with that as well. Cannabis helped a great deal, and the fact that cannabis was considered a necessary thing, and that they basically were doing like 50% off of everything during the quarantine. It made for, you know, I think Denver and legal cities were probably a lot less depressed throughout the quarantine than some of the other cities and some of the other states that might not be as open to it.
I know my usage kicked up through the pandemic. There's no doubt at all. And for not in a bad way at all. I was happy to be able to just kind of pass the time and do what I had to do. I did some other things for myself that I felt good about, that I made some good time. And of course my business was booming, so I was busy as all heck through the whole darn thing, and still am. So you know, that's by the tan. I'm outside way too much now. But it's just, you know, it affected me differently, I believe, because I was out every day through this thing working. You know, my wife, my daughter was home, and they didn't go outside ever. They saw nobody. You know, my wife's car had like a layer of dust on it. They went nowhere. And here I am out, you know, 5-6 days a week, every day out there in this. We were living totally different lifestyles, you know, and, you know, I saw it on her. Like it really got to her. Like her only interaction was a 7-year-old, like all day, and having to learn how to deal with the whole at-home schooling and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, it was, I could see where, and as my wife said before, she's a self-professed introvert unless she has a little alcohol. I could see how that could lead to depression and create some problems, you know. And not only could I see, I did see. And, you know, I was amazed. She's an incredible human being, because she was able to see too. And together, three of us really were all able to just kind of make it work, you know. And but I saw how in other situations, like friends that had 2 kids, 3 kids, we had 1 kid. That's hard. You know, they were dealing with a lot more than what we were. I didn't know how we did it with 1 kid. And here's friends of ours with 2 or 3. You know, family members of mine, my nieces, there's 3 together there, and my sister and brother-in-law just obviously had their hands full. And my sister, another very strong woman, and just, you know, independent, solid, just great strength, that girl, in her mind and all, broke down. She was just like, oh my God, I can't, you know. And it got to be a lot for her too. But again, you know, the family made it happen. They worked it out the best they could. They did what they had to do. But like I said, there was a lot of situations, I feel, where there's some people that maybe didn't get that help, and just, you know, physically and mentally just couldn't deal with it. And those are where I think the more serious issues are, as far as the, you know, the effects of the pandemic.
Yeah, that was it definitely made some sad situations a lot sadder. And I mean, after as we come out of the end of all this, I definitely see a lot more homeless people um, out in Denver, it really has a lot more to do with them sort of misplacing and displacing all of them, moving them from area to area. But yeah, man, I know that I think we're going to be a lot more extroverted at this point. I certainly know that I am.
Everyone's like, I'm done with this.
I'm dying to go out. I'm like every freaking day. I'm like, hey, you want to go on a bike ride? And my wife's like, dude, it's 90 degrees. I'm like, yeah, you want to go out though? And like it's just stupid as shit. Brandon, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Every week it's something new and interesting. Absolutely love this. I appreciate it. Brandon is awesome. one of my Cannabis Cowboy followers from day one. He's been a supporter from day one. He understands how we think. He's very like-minded, like a lot of us. And I appreciate you coming around and hanging out.
Yes,
Elisa says the pandemic didn't affect her at all. Love staying at home. Guess I'm an introvert.
Hey, you know what though? That let me tell you though, something about that I think is great. And for family moms that want their kids to be home, and especially in that kind of like 12 to 17 age group, where it's hard to keep kids in the house too much and they always want to be out with their friends and away from the family. I really feel like families that are able to get together a little bit more, there was a positive to that. There were families that were together a lot more through this pandemic that wouldn't normally have been able to spend that kind of time together, whether they wanted to or not, and whether the ramifications of that were positive or negative. The reality is it happened. You were forced to be home, and I believe some families took advantage of that time. And to be able to kind of strengthen their family bond, which I believe is a real thing, and maybe another topic like another show. But I feel like even in my own life, I had a fragmented family bond, and that started a little weaker and got stronger. And so being able to have felt that through my life, I feel like maybe some people were getting a little piece of that, or at least an opportunity to do that in a way that, it kind of forced those kids, it's like, no, you can't go to Dave's house. No, you're saying, no, she can't come over and stay over tonight. Sorry, it's in a pandemic. So the time had to be spent more with the family. And, I have a 7-year-old, so she idolizes us, which is awesome. I know that's not going to be like this forever. So she loved it. I mean, she had her parents around all the time.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So especially, mom, but, it's just, I feel like it's going to be different for people at different ages, like we talked about earlier altogether. But the benefit of it, I feel, was for a lot of people, and maybe it was not for others. Maybe that was the bad part. But I think overall, there was a lot of family unity that increased because of the pandemic.
I'd like to think so. I know your kid had a blast. That's for sure. Kid's still having a blast, actually. But yes,
every day.
I think that was probably something good that came from it. I guess in some cases it's smart to force a family to stick around with each other and have dinner together every night. The quarantine is definitely something that it affected the categorization of us saying whether we're introvert or extrovert or ambivert in this situation. No. I still don't know, if I'm being honest, man. I think
I'm more confused now.
before we had this freaking conversation, you could have just gone with anything else, peanut butter or jelly, but no, we had to go with this one. So now I'm going to be thinking for the rest of my life whether I am introverted or extroverted enough for the situation. I don't know.
I'm just going to say ambivert. I mean, that's the cop out. So it's my new word. And I just learned it today.
Joanne's saying that her 420 something said it was the best time ever. Exercising together, cooking. Yeah, the kids did seem like they were. They're not kids anymore, by the way. My apologies. The young adults.
Keep them there.
Keep
them there.
Yeah, that's something. And if you're someone who were a parent that had 20 something and then they were stuck with you for that time, that was probably really amazing too, because you forced your kids to have to hang out with you.
That would have normally been away at school, whatever it might be. So yeah, absolutely.
Good Lord. All right. Well, again, like I said, I don't necessarily know if I can even categorize myself with this. I do think that I'm adaptable, but as I get older, and I think that kind of just goes with the whole crotchety old man thing. That's old man Riley's up in his house and he doesn't say shit anymore, and he doesn't talk to anybody. Lawn. Yeah, that's what I fear that I'm going to be. I'm going to be categorized as that.
You're going to be that guy. No, that would be generally introverted, but I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, there was different times for different folks too. I feel like I was more introverted when I was younger. I would think I was a lot more shy with new people and stuff like that. So, there's going to be times that you're going to feel that way or not. And I'm not just saying as at one age, but as you go through your life, so that you could feel like you came from one thing or another, and it was for probably different reasons, whether it was friends or there was a social setting that went either good or bad. I mean, I saw it growing up. I saw people that didn't make a lot of friends, and I saw why. A lot of them would be good people, and I always tried to befriend people like that. And a lot of times it's just they were just very shy. They just did not want to talk to people, and at certain ages that could be obviously detrimental to your social status. And I think that puts kids in a spot too, that they start to become introverted almost by social situations that doesn't start out well for them, because here it goes in junior high into high school, and now they're set free from that with not as big of a group because of that kind of situation that I wouldn't say they'd even put themselves in a lot of times. So I don't know. I feel like some people have to see it in themselves maybe and get themselves out of certain situations. Otherwise, there's some that, like I said, I know one in particular that they are perfectly happy living their life as a full-on introvert. I mean, full on. If I told you some of the things that this dude does, you'd be like, "What?" I mean,
if you think about the state, think about the state of the United States. That's what I'm saying. I think that if you look at the way we are as a country right now, the way you can literally live your life without leaving your house, as long as you have money.
Right.
You can not leave your house and still be okay.
The thing is that we've in your house.
We've made it easy for introverts to live their life, which, hey, that's pretty badass. That's pretty cool. If you're someone who was stuck at home and thought you had to go outside of your house or be social in order to make money, that's just not the world we're in anymore. So we've got intros, extras, and ambies, man. They're all over. We just be what you are, man. And I'm at least. True. We have the ability to use this as a forum. If we are not extroverted, we certainly are for about an hour a week.
Is this extroverted enough for you?
Is this, yes. Are we not entertaining enough? Brandon says, I think a lot of introverted people like himself want to be extroverted a lot, but for some reason can't. Just allergic to bullshit and can't pretend sometimes.
I get that. That's a good point. Because
I can't pretend to be something I'm not.
I mean, that's a good point, because there is a lot of that when you meet people. There is. It's a lot of the sniffing butt stage, I call it. It's just like you're just looking for some kind of common ground, and that's exactly what he's talking about. That he's not good at that. I totally get that. I'm really good at that. I'm really good at that. I can be like right away. Oh yeah, you're into ophthalmology. I don't even know if that's a word. Yeah, man, I'm all about that. Tell me some more about this. And I'll do the bullshit. I don't know why. I just feel like, what? I'd rather do that than stand in the corner and drink my beer and just not have some kind of a conversation. So, but I totally get what he's saying in that point. And he's probably somebody that if that conversation got started and then something happened that he was familiar with, might say, hey, and jump in, because now it's a little, something has started, and there's something common that I can talk about too. I feel like there's a lot of folks like that too. They just need someone else to start it. They're all about it, but like, hey man, somebody get this rolling. This is a weird, uncomfortable silence. There's 4 dudes standing in the dining room holding a beer. It's like, somebody say something, and we don't know each other for crap. So that's kind of the situation I always go to in my head.
And I feel like I could be either. I could either be that guy sitting amongst a party who everyone's talking and I'm just looking at my drink, maybe just nodding at my wife like this. I do that a lot real well.
It looks like you're saying, let's get out of here. Let's get out of here.
Or I can be, if I'm in a situation, I can be a little bit more extroverted. Am I going to be like, am I great with like Pictionary with 20 people I don't know? Probably not. Charades, I won't even get near that freaking game with people I don't know. That's just not like...
You're not the karaoke guy? You're not going to do karaoke in a bar of people you've never met?
Never in my life will I, or have I.
I've done it.
However,
sorry to anyone that ever had to hear my voice.
My wife's a great singer, so she does it, but she's lucky where she's an extrovert with a a great voice.
Yes,
if you're the kind of extrovert like myself who's got a shit voice, you don't really want me being at your karaoke bar.
Right. I'm going to laugh at you for a few seconds, but that's enough, really. With that,
you're like, I know they're laughing at me. That's not with me. You're lying. I don't consider myself to be an exhibitionist either, but here I am on a podcast. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
True.
Maybe I am. Maybe I just say to myself, I can deal with. It's not like I go back and look at these all the time either. By the way, don't start getting me twisted up here. The only time I look at them is like a couple days ago when I uploaded the rest of them on Spotify. But I listen to them a lot more to see if I say stupid stuff or if I do if I do rookie microphone mistakes. But yeah,
I've done a lot tonight. I've had a lot of difficulties with the headphones and mics tonight.
Cares?
Sorry, everybody.
We're family here, man. These are all family and friends. They don't care. Ums and ah, they're saying it to themselves. I'm just happy they're interacting with us, if I'm being honest.
It's very cool. It's very cool. We love you guys. It's awesome. And we're going to be away for a little bit. Well, I'm going to be away for a little bit. So I should say that out loud. Well, go ahead. Say it. You guys handle it. You know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. I'm the one that's going to be going away, so I don't know crap. So you tell everybody what's happening. I might pop in my world travels. Actually, it's just the United States travels, but take it away. Tell them what's going to happen over the next 3 weeks. 3 weeks while I'm gone.
We are the world. Did you not learn that in the 80s?
This is true. We are the children.
I don't know what the hell we're going to do. All I know is that Ken Man is going to probably be gone for a couple weeks. Now, what I'm thinking of doing
3 Tuesdays, man. 3 Tuesdays.
Tuesdays. All right. So 2 weeks.
3 of them. No,
3 Tuesdays.
3
Holy
Tuesdays.
Shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, I know, man. I'm sorry.
I am thinking that myself and possibly Stony Grantham might come and be a guest host. We might dig into the record crates. We might dig into another musical 3-week adventure or something like that. So
that's awesome, man. I love those last shows you did the last time I was away. Those Kiss shows were great. So, I mean, that's awesome, man. And Stony is awesome. Stony is awesome. If anyone's going to be able to be here to take my spot, Stony's the man.
But like you said, you'll at least be, as we all are, near a device that you can tap in. If you,
I will, man. I'm staying in the continental U.S., so I'll be around, man. I wouldn't mind popping in and saying hi to y'all for sure, man. Appreciate all of you guys, man.
And really I can almost 100% guarantee you that we will have a very special Saturday night episode of the Casually Serious podcast. Is that what we're called? TCSP. And look for that September 11th, 2021. I can guarantee you some video, audio.
I don't know if
maybe
that can
underwater
go live.
shots.
I don't know if that can go live, man.
We're gonna figure something out. I will be down there with Ken Man in Miami with a lot of friends and family. We're gonna get a little crazy, or 48-year-old crazy, if you will. Drinking a lot of Avion water and.
The band plays till midnight, man.
That's badass. It's going to be great. So regardless, ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you for all the support, for coming in, helping out with the discussion by chiming in the comments section, because if not, it would have just been Ken Man and I talking back and forth, which we can easily do.
Who wants to hear that?
Yeah, the interaction from you guys is what makes it seem like we're doing something professional.
Agreed.
But anyway, Brandon, Joanne, Amber, thanks for coming in, Amber. Jordana, Tammy, God, we had a lot of people show up today, and Andrew, obviously, unless I didn't say that.
Thank you, all you guys. Thank you so much.
It's the usual suspects as always. Thank you for so much for coming and hanging out. If you haven't done so already, check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Spotify. We are out there amongst the land of a million other podcasts, except we have casually serious shit to talk about. So
we do.
That's what separates us from the other show. That sounds like our name. But Ken, man, anything else before we get the hell out of here, man?
No, just thank you guys again. I'm going to be away for a little bit, just taking some family time, and we'll pop in and say hi. But thank you guys. We love doing this. We're going to keep it rolling. We got a lot of plans for this show coming up through the summer and into fall. So, that September 11th special Saturday show, you're not going to want to miss that one. It's going to be fun. But thank you guys, man. Really appreciate it, all of you, especially for the ones that chime in and give us a little bit of your thoughts. We appreciate that.
No doubt. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Dr. Brian, take us away.